I believe one of the biggest problems in education in general is that it's too much language driven, way too much language driven. That goes back into history. Think back, who were the first people who could write a book? Those were monks. Well, you have to have a certain type of character to be a monk. And they started to influence how we educate on a high level. Yeah. While we all know that, well, I don't know exact percentage, but I would say at least 95% of monks are definitely not like a monk. We don't live like that. We don't think like that. We can't study like that. We can't focus like that. So we need other ways to influence our learning besides constantly using books and language to get interested or to go deep on something.
And that's definitely what I'm hearing you're experiencing now with the freedom that you have with your company, All Learners. So, but Rob, if someone's listening, there's listeners, wants to learn more, you have a course at the moment. It's called Reimagine Education.
Reimagine Education, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to just share what it is about?
Yeah, definitely. So Reimagine Education is actually, first of all, it starts actually with Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. So first connect to why are we actually doing that? And that's actually on 3 levels. Why are you personally involved in that? Why is education where we are at the moment? And why where can we unite, right? And from there, I actually help people to use a different vocabulary to talk about education. Because as I was saying, if we keep on using words as teachers, classroom, lesson, well, then we have to plan lessons. Then we have to put children in a classroom. Then we have to put them in age groups because, well, you put an age group in a classroom, So it helps you to use a different language. And based on what my previous participants of the course are saying is that it is actually a language which makes connecting with people who may not even think alike, but it makes connecting easier with your audience, with your kids, with their parents, with other coworkers. So, for instance, we use words as putting the cake on the table. How do you put the cake on the table for kids, for your students? And that's all about how you raise their interest, which is a very important one. So we take the people who join us through that self-development circle. And how can I respect the person's self-development circle? And how can I amplify it? How can I make it go faster? Or even sometimes, how can I make it go slower? Because some people, they're only in a rush, and then they're overwhelmed. Well, that's not healthy either.
No, so just going back to what we said. Yeah, sorry, to just go back to as well what you just said before, that being slow is sometimes more efficient.
Exactly. If you look in schools, it's all so prefabricated what kids need to do that you can do 2 things, in my opinion, as a child. You can act as a robot and go along. Well, for me, that's not making a lifelong brain connection. That's a temporary one. Or you can put your foot down and say, no, I'm not going along. And then in the middle, we have that gray zone, and we've all been in there. That's when you stare out of the window and act like you're there, but you're off. So that's actually what we try to help people figure out with this course. How can I put these kids into their zone of proximal development, in a zone where they really want to grow? How can I make sure that if I need to teach, that they actually want to listen, instead of that I have to force them to listen? And then that's what this reimagination course is about. It's for teachers, but it's definitely for school leaders as well. Actually, it's the opposite way around, in my opinion. It is for school leaders and for teachers as well. Because school leaders, they determine the circumstances in which their staff need to act.
They have to provide the platform.
Exactly. Exactly. And school leaders have a huge amount of influence on that, what happens in that platform, if they agree with their teachers on how to act. And if they can talk with the parents and get them on the same level of appreciating that platform. And that's what this course is about. We offer them the language to break through those barriers without offending anybody, because I think that's very important. Teachers and school principals want to do what's best for children. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the job. When I go into a school, I don't see any bad elements, but the order in which we go through these elements, well, that's not ideal. So that's what we help with as well. How can we change the order and the structure without ruining the elements? Because the building blocks of your school, they are there. They are great. They've been tested for centuries. The sequence is something else. And that's what we look into in this course. How can we change that sequence? How can we build a culture of a learning network instead of we tell you what to do?
But there's only 8 spots on this course.
Yes.
So you have to be really quick if you want to participate.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, almost half are taken at the moment without doing a lot of publicity. And when I launched this the first time last April, I said there were only 6 spots, and 4 of them were taken within the first day after I announced it. So that makes me feel very happy. But why I do it in a small group like this is very easy to explain. This course has high value, and I want to learn from this as well. So I want to do my utmost best for a small group to reach the highest level. And when I know how to do this for 6 people, I know how to do it for 8 for the next time. And I know how to do it for 10 for the time after that. I can write a book and say 1,000 people can study it, but I want to make it personal. I want to make sure that every participant, because this is part of the course actually, every participant works on a challenge which he is facing at the moment and solves it during the course. And they can throw everything at me. So that means I have to spend a lot of time on this as well. And what I also want to do is I want to keep the group a good mix of different types of people from different regions around the world, because the group itself may be even more of an inspiration than I can be. That's what we also seen with the first group. We had people from Norway, from England, Netherlands, Honduras, Kenya. And they became a very tight group. They still are collaborating together, and they actually decided to meet each other live. They're going to meet. We are all going to meet next week, actually. And that was definitely not part of the program, but I want to build those strong connections. And this first group already told me, Rob, if there is a second group coming, we want to build those strong connections with them as well. Because let's be honest, a lot of these people who want to change stuff, they feel quite lonely. They don't have a lot of people to bounce things off. And I feel the level where I am with my company, I can build strong connections with 6 to 8 people in a group like this. I can't do it with 30 at once at this point yet. I have to be in a school. I can do it in a school, when you are physically together a lot of hours in the day. But I don't have the skills yet to do it online with such an amount of people. So I'm building it slowly.
And also, that's a wonderful way of saying how a change can spark other changes. And I think that falls into our conversation today, Rob, as well, where you're saying, well, I haven't really thought about my desires as such, but I've been following what's been given me. And so change leads to change. And we can't calculate all the consequences, which is also wonderful about life.
Yeah, and if you look at this at this group size, for example, as well, these 6 to 8 people, they will actually have the chance to deeply listen to each other, to make connections on a deep level, and understand each other's whys, to understand each other's passions, but also understand each other's qualities. And that makes them a collaborative team for the future as well, a collaborative network. And they put each other in the right circumstances. And they want to do it for each other because they went through this process together. And I think that is the highest value of it.
So you provide the circumstances or the platform and facilitate.
I do the spark, and they keep the fire alight, and that's what they're already doing. So with the first cohort, they've kept it going since they started. So, yeah.
Rob, we're nearly at the end of this conversation here. I just want to ask you, what was it like to share your thoughts and ideas and your travel?
What was it like? You mean during this talk or in general?
Yeah. What was it like for you to have this conversation with me?
Well, I think for me, it again went back to why am I saying what I'm preaching? Actually, because with this talk, we are also connecting it back to me as a person. And I don't do that much because I'm always looking at what can I do for others. And I'm always looking at where does somebody else's behavior come from instead of where does mine come from. So I think this was like looking in the mirror, but then through a talk.
Wonderful. That sounds good. Thank you so much, Rob, for taking time out to share your thoughts with us and showing us a mirror and for your honesty.
Thanks. And you're absolutely welcome.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll listen on next episode together again. Well, I'll be back with another person from Holland. So it's like a Holland Danish podcast. Thank you.